lightning, thunder, wind and rain, and tornadoes. All terrifying for those who suffer from astrophobia, the intense, debilitating fear of storms.
I watch the weather as much as the meteorologists do, and I know for a week that a storm is coming and monitor it for a week.
Kelly Smith has been living with astrophobia for years, and the fear takes over her life.
It's manifested itself physically, and for days, knowing that a storm is coming, I start to get physically sick. When I start to hear the warnings and hear the sirens, it's just a real fear that something's going to happen.
The anxiety that something could happen to her, her husband, or their 2 children sparks an intense fear that goes into high gear when storms approach.
I start to pace around. I pace, my stomach gets upset as if I were going on a roller coaster. My palms start to sweat. That's when I know that something's approaching.
So this is a real phobia for you?
It's an absolute phobia, absolutely.
So how do you know if you have astrophobia? Dr. Todd Peters tells us it starts when the fear of storms impairs your normal life.
It prevents adults from going to work sometimes. It prevents kids from being able to go to school. It sometimes prevents people from being able to leave their house.
Dr. Peters says the lack of control over thunderstorms is what causes the phobia, but you can control the fear inside yourself.
I almost think about anxiety almost like a thing that comes from the outside and finds fertile ground and sets up shop, and like a good gardener, we have to figure out ways to kind of weed it back.
Knowledge is key to beating the phobia, Dr. Peters says. The more you know about storms and how they work, the more you'll understand when the threat is real. He also says having a safety plan in place and keeping up with the weather will provide some peace. But in some cases, therapy or anti-anxiety medicine may be your best bet.
Roll it back.
Kelly Smith finally reached her breaking point last year after an outbreak of tornadoes. Tired of feeling helpless and vulnerable, the family decided to take action by installing this tornado shelter. Surrounded by concrete in their garage, Kelly now feels safe.
So my coping mechanism now is getting down on the storm shelter.
So that was a good investment?
Best investment we ever made.
There's no price. To see her at peace and to know that the kids are not going to develop that fear and anxiety of storms,